Hello guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute. It's been over 6 months. I think it's been nearly a year since I last uploaded one, and a lot has changed since then. I got a new job, I dropped out of uni, I read now, I have a bookstagram. Life has changed a lot in the past year, and I missed filming videos, I missed uploading to YouTube, so I'm back. And today I'm filming a video showing you guys every single book I read in 2021. I only read 26 books this year, and I started reading in August, I believe, like the end of August. So the first book I read this year was The Magpie Society, One for So, which is the first book, and it's by Zoe Selk and Amy McCulloch. I don't really know how to say her name, I'm sorry. And I finished that the 11th of July. I gave this book, when I first finished it, I gave it 5 stars, but after reading a couple other books, I kind of knocked it down to like 4. I did read this book like paperback, but I don't know where the copy is. I have misplaced it, so I don't have it with me. The book, here it is. And then I didn't pick up another book until the like 24th of August. And obviously I had seen Book Talk, and then one day I was at my boyfriend's house and he had a bunch of meetings, and I was like, let me just download an ebook. So I, on my phone, downloaded Punk 57 and I read it in one sitting. I literally didn't take my eyes off that book until I finished it. So that was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I think it's a great book. Love the characters, I loved the story, I thought it was great. After I finished that, I was looking for books similar to that, so the next book I read was Cruel Prince by Ashley Jade, and that is the first book in the Royal Hearts Academy series. This book was so good. If you haven't read this book, please look into reading it. Look at the blurb, look up trigger warnings, 18 plus, all that. This book, the only thing I hate about it is the cover. Don't want to talk about that. It is like a bully romance. It's so good. I give this book 5 stars. I thought it was so good. I actually didn't continue the series, which pains me to say that. I didn't continue the series, not because I didn't want to. I definitely want to, and I think next year I'm going to reread Cruel Prince and continue on with the series in physical copies, because this was also an ebook. 5 stars, incredible, 100% I recommend that book. Then I read Bully by Penelope Douglas, which is the first book in the Fall Away series. This book as well, this series literally is one of my favorite things I've ever read. I gave this book 5 stars, and then I read the second book, which is like book 1.5, and it's Until You. And I read that straight afterwards, and that book, it's the same story but from Jared's perspective. The first book is just from Tate's perspective. And shockingly, I enjoyed Until You better than Bully. So because of that, I knocked Bully down to like a 4.75 out of 5, and then Until You would get a 5. And then straight after that, I went into the second book / third book of the series, and that is Rival by Penelope Douglas. This book, also incredible. I love the storyline in it, I love the characters. It was so good. I would give it 4.5 stars. Not as good as Jared and Tate's books, but still incredible. Then I read the third / fourth book in the series, and that is Falling Away. Unpopular opinion, I know this is really an unpopular opinion. This was my least favorite book in the series, which everyone loves Jackson, everyone loves their story. I still loved the book. I gave it 4 stars, but just in comparison to like Jared and Tate's story, and then Fallon and Maddox's story, it didn't hit the same. And that book put me in a huge reading slump. I read that the 31st of August. And then, funny story, one night I was like laying in bed, this was the 11th of October, and I was laying in bed. I had just gone to bed. It was probably like 11:30, so it wasn't super late, but like my whole family was asleep. I had gone to bed and I woke up and I had a crazy nightmare. Like this really creepy experience happened to me and I was like freaked out. So I was like, oh, I have A Flame, which is the 4th book in the Fallaway series, downloaded on my phone already. Like I may as well give it a try and just read it. And A Flame is Jared and Tate again, but like it still continues on. It doesn't go back to their original story. It's like a continuation of their story. I read this book all through the night until the sun came up and I finished it in one sitting. 5 stars. So good. I loved this book because I'm gonna do a full video and series that I like recommend where I can actually go in depth about what each book's about. After I finished A Flame, I got back into reading and I was like, let me find another bully romance. I know I can count on them. I always like them, so I know it'll get me back into reading. So I look on TikTok and I find All the Little Lies by S.J. Sylvie, I think. And this is the first book in the English Prep series, and I DNF'd this. Which again, I know is a really unpopular opinion. I actually was on my like Bookstagram today and one of the people I follow, she was saying that this series was one of her favourite series she read this year. And looking back, I don't know why I DNF'd it. I got really bored, but like it's honestly not a boring story and I would recommend this book. But I'm gonna try and reread it, I think, because it was good. It was really good. Yeah, it was good. I don't know what to say about that one. After this, I read Enemies by Tijan. Another unpopular opinion. I know this book is actually quite popular. I wish I DNF'd it. This book I don't understand why I kept reading. It was all very much okay. But then looking at that in comparison to All the Little Lies, I don't know why I DNF'd All the Little Lies, but then continued to read Enemies. It was very like fast paced. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know. Wasn't a fan, I have to be honest. And then we move on. I decided to start reading the Off-Campus series. And oh yeah, I finally decided to read the Off-Campus series. If you haven't read that series, what are you doing? Go read it right now because it is so good. The Deal with Hannah and Garrett, 5 stars, incredible. I have no words. Definitely worth the hype. Then The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. Once again, incredible. I would give it like 4.5 stars. The Score by Elle Kennedy. Again, 4.5 stars. And finally, for the Off-Campus series, The Goal. I give it 4 stars, maybe 4.25. It was really good. I love Tucker. I love Sabrina. But just the tropes in the book and the storyline weren't my favorite. Now finally getting into physical books. This was when I realized I love reading. I want to actually get the physical copies so I can annotate them. And there's a fly. The first physical books I read are the Briar U series, which is the sort of like spin-off of Off Campus. First book in the Briar U series is The Chase. I would give this book like 4 stars. Maybe 3.75, I don't know, but it's good, just definitely nothing in comparison to the Off-Campus series, I have to be honest. And then we have The Risk, 5 stars. Literally 5 stars. It is just as good as The Deal in a different way, but like it's so good. 5 stars. And then we have The Play. I'm gonna again say like 4 stars, maybe even 3.75 again. It was good, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as other books I've read. And then finally, for the Briar U and Off-Campus series is The Dare. Again, great book, 3.75, maybe a 4. So after I finished those 4 books, I actually got a Kindle for Christmas. This is her. I love her. It's the Kindle Paperwhite, like 8 GB. I got it from my boyfriend and I'm literally obsessed with it. I've used it pretty much every day since. And I finished those books and I was in such a reading slump. I was not excited to read, so I once again looked up a good old high school bully romance, rich kids, prep school. There's literally nothing better. And I found it's the Windsor Academy series by Laura Lee. Sorry, I've got my Goodreads up, that's why I'm looking at my phone. Wicked Liars, really good. Give it like 4 stars, maybe 4.5. I thought it was really good. And then the next book is Ruthless Kings. Again, 4 stars. They definitely got worse as they went on, because then the third book I'd give like 3.75, and I was really scared I was going to get into another reading slump after it. But I finished that series really quickly. I think it took me like 3-4 days to finish that whole series, which is great. And after that, I had the next book on my list ready, but it was also a high school bully romance, rich kids, prep school. I knew that I couldn't just jump from like one of that type of book straight to another. So I read Dipped in Holly. It was like a Christmas novella. It took me like an hour to read, I think. Definitely not for everyone. Check trigger warnings. I gave it like 4 stars and I really loved the plot of it. And then this book came out of nowhere. Exo Jazzle on TikTok recommended it, and Literary Lola also. And that is Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. This is a big book. Literally, it was so good. It's so good. All I can say is if you like rich kid drama, all of that, definitely read it. I'd give this like 5 stars, maybe 4.75. From this book and then the rest of the books I talk about, I have full reviews on my Bookstagram, which is at jamies.books. So if you want in-depth reviews of them, go check that. After that, I had this like sitting on my bed, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I had it sitting there. I kept telling myself the next book you're going to read is Beach Read, and I just kept putting it off. And so I quickly read Dare by Harley LaRue. Again, not for everyone. It's a quick read. It's a novella, Halloweeny, kind of creepy, kind of incredible. I gave it 4 stars because honestly the plot was incredible. Sorry, my camera cut out. Overall, 4 stars, definitely not for everyone. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it, but I also wouldn't not recommend it. And then I finally stopped putting off Beach Read, and I am so glad I read it, because this book, 4.5 stars, honestly. I loved it. It's like the first sort of rom-com book I've actually read, and I loved it so much. If you haven't read this yet, I know it's been super popular for a long time, so I feel like everyone has, but if you have not read this, please go read it right now. It is incredible. And then the next book I read after Beach Read, very different from Beach Read, is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. As I'm sure you can tell, I'm quite a big fan of Penelope Douglas. I love their books. I think they're just like incredible. And so I read Corrupt by Penelope Douglas because I've been putting it off for a while. Well, not putting it off, but like thinking about it for a while. I was incredibly disappointed. I still would give it 3.75, maybe a 4. I think I just had a very different expectation of what this book was going to be like in my head. Still a great book, and I kept reading. I was like, ugh, I'm going to force myself to finish the series because I can't just not. After Corrupt, I read Hideaway, which is the next book in the series, and already I was like, this is so much better. So Corrupt, I would give like a 3.75, and then Hideaway, I would give like a 4.25, maybe even a 4.5. And I'm currently on Kill Switch, which is probably going to be the last book I read this year, and so far at least a 4.5, but I can see it getting a 5. I'm currently like 70% of the way through. I think I'm even less. I think I'm like 65% of the way through, and I can really see this book getting a 5 stars from me. Well, there you have it. That is every single book I read in 2021. I'm really excited to start making more bookish content, and I'm gonna do a video, as I mentioned, talking about series that I loved. I think, hear me out, I think I'm gonna do a reading vlog of either The Song of Achilles or Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I haven't decided which yet. I also am happy to do some recommendation videos. If you guys have any specific tropes that you want recommendations for, let me know down below. Also make sure to follow my bookstagram, which is just at jamies.books. Also my personal Instagram, which is just jamiehogenbirk. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.